At 63, Melissa Sue Anderson is finally breaking her silence about Michael Landon, and what she revealed is forcing fans to see Little House on the Prairie in a whole new light. Born in Berkeley, California on September 26, 1962, Melissa's childhood wasn't built around fame or flashing cameras. Instead, her upbringing was steady and grounded, creative but firmly anchored in education and everyday life. Hollywood wasn't part of the blueprint. Yet once her family relocated to Los Angeles, destiny subtly shifted her path and changed everything. The instant she stepped in front of a camera, something about Melissa stood out. It wasn't only her appearance, it was the depth in her gaze. Industry scouts picked up on it fast. Commercial work opened the door, followed by increasingly serious roles. Even at a young age, Melissa wasn't leaning on charm alone. She carried weight, intention, authenticity. Appearances on shows like Bewitched and The Brady Bunch soon followed, each role refining her talent further. Those early lessons shaped how she navigated an industry that often swallows child actors whole. Where others depended on surface appeal, Melissa relied on insight. She didn't simply act out scenes, she inhabited them. That quiet intensity became her signature. Then, in 1974, everything shifted in an instant. When Melissa was cast as Mary Ingalls on Little House on the Prairie, her world changed almost overnight. This wasn't just another television job, it became a cultural touchstone, a heartfelt interpretation of Laura Ingalls Wilder's treasured stories, and Melissa emerged as one of the show's emotional anchors. As the eldest Ingalls daughter to Charles and Caroline, played by Michael Landon and Karen Grassel, Melissa infused Mary with grace and depth. She wasn't merely playing discipline or duty, she represented quiet resilience, a grounding presence that beautifully countered Laura's fiery spirit, portrayed by Melissa Gilbert. But it was Mary's most devastating storyline that left viewers shaken. When the character lost her eyesight after a tragic illness, the arc could have easily crossed into melodrama. Instead, the opposite occurred. Through Melissa's performance, the grief felt restrained yet piercing, honest, deeply human. And it was during those scenes, working closely with Michael Landon, that the reality of their bond, their trust, and their shared commitment to truth quietly revealed itself, a reality Melissa is only now prepared to finally speak about. She never needed loud speeches or explosive drama to leave a mark. Melissa Sue Anderson shattered hearts through stillness alone. In a quiet, almost eerie way, she pulled viewers deep into Mary's fear, pain, and unspoken courage. Watching Mary move from the terror of losing her sight into a life rebuilt on strength, Melissa told the story with such honesty that it lingered long after the screen faded. With nothing more than a subtle change in posture, a gentle voice, and eyes filled with feeling, she delivered a performance that barely felt like acting. It felt lived. That kind of truth couldn't be ignored. Critics took notice, audiences felt it, and the industry responded with an Emmy nomination that confirmed her rare talent. But even as Little House on the Prairie turned her into a household name, Melissa refused to be boxed in by fame. Rather than staying comfortable, she leaned into challenge, choosing darker, bolder television films and dramatic roles that showed the world she was far more than Mary Ingalls. Everything shifted in 1980 with one unforgettable role. In Which Mother Is Mine, Melissa stunned viewers with a performance so emotionally raw it stopped people cold. The result was an Emmy win for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Drama or Comedy Special, a moment that proved she could carry heavy, complex stories entirely on her own, no longer defined by her past. Time passed, and Melissa made a choice most stars never do. She stepped back from Hollywood's relentless spotlight. Through the 1980s and 1990s, she appeared only when a project truly spoke to her, from the chilling Happy Birthday to Me to select TV dramas that quietly highlighted her depth. Fame was no longer the goal. Peace was. This wasn't a disappearance, it was a conscious retreat, a strong, grounded decision that showed she valued real life over constant attention. And then came one last unexpected turn. In 2010, Melissa Sue Anderson became a Canadian citizen, beginning a new chapter, one that respected her Hollywood legacy while fully embracing the woman she had chosen to become beyond it. She doesn't announce her return, and she never needs to. Whenever Melissa Sue Anderson quietly steps back into the public eye, whether for an interview or a rare appearance, the reaction is the same. A calm, grounded confidence that instantly reminds people why she was unforgettable in the first place. There's no restlessness in her presence, no sense of unfinished business, only the quiet assurance of someone who made peace with her choices long ago. Then, in 2014, she offered fans something unexpected. Not a comeback, not a headline-grabbing reveal, but something far more intimate. What she shared wasn't a performance, it was her truth. Her memoir, The Way I See It, a look back at my life on Little House, pulled back the curtain on a life many thought they already understood. With warmth, honesty, and a surprising sense of humor, Melissa reflected on what it really meant to grow up in the spotlight. Readers didn't just revisit a beloved era, they met the woman behind it. Critics and fans responded with genuine admiration, praising the book for its emotional clarity and openness. It reframed her story, making one thing clear: Melissa Sue Anderson was never defined by childhood fame. What emerged instead was the portrait of a woman who carried success with intelligence, grace, and a disarming self-awareness that never faded. But long before she put those reflections on paper, Melissa made a decision in the 1990s that quietly reshaped her entire life. While others chased constant visibility, she chose something far more personal and far more permanent. Rather than staying trapped in Hollywood's relentless rhythm, she shifted her focus inward, placing her family at the center of everything. That choice didn't just change how often she worked, it changed why she worked. Motherhood became her anchor, gently pulling her away from industry noise without ever severing her connection to acting. She didn't disappear, she simply became selective. Every appearance from that point on carried intention. Even as home life took priority, her passion for the craft never dimmed, it matured. She proved that in the early 1990s by taking on carefully chosen roles, including her appearance in X-Men from 1993 to 1994, where her control and intensity was still unmistakable. Not long after, she returned in the 1994 revival of Burke's Law, instantly reminding audiences that her screen presence hadn't lost its spark. The magic hadn't faded, it had sharpened. That same year, she surprised many by lending her voice to Animated Stories from the Bible, Music Video Volume 1. It was an unexpected move, yet perfectly aligned with her values: faith-driven, family-centered, and sincere. As the decade unfolded, Melissa continued choosing roles with care, appearing in projects like Killer Lady, 1995, Earthquake in New York, 1998, and the series Partners, 1999. Each one felt purposeful, never random. Taken together, those moments sent a quiet but powerful message. Melissa Sue Anderson didn't abandon the spotlight, it simply stopped defining her. And through it all, her dedication to the craft never left. The spotlight didn't pull her back,
She chose when to step into it again. As the 2000s arrived, Melissa Sue Anderson quietly reappeared in the TV movie Thin Ice, taking on the role of Tanya Ferguson. It wasn't designed to dominate headlines, but it sent a clear signal. She was still present, still passionate, and still calling her own shots. After dominating screens in the 90s, Melissa made a daring choice. She walked away from Hollywood entirely, on her own terms. This pause stretched for a full 5 years, a rare decision in an industry that never stops. She traded film sets for family routines, red carpets for school runs, and busy schedules for quiet mornings, fully embracing the rhythm of real life. Those years weren't a disappearance, they were deliberate, a lesson in peace, privacy, and balance that most stars never dare to learn. Then 2006 arrived, and with it a return that was quiet but impossible to ignore. Melissa re-entered the spotlight as First Lady Megan Hollister in the thrilling TV miniseries 10.5 Apocalypse, capturing the attention of millions once more. Her presence was magnetic. The same calm, emotional depth and understated authority reminded viewers that true talent doesn't vanish, it simply waits for the right stage. That same year, she returned to film with an uncredited but telling appearance in Crazy Eights, signaling she hadn't abandoned the big screen. In 2007, she followed with another subtle yet meaningful role, lending her voice as the mother in Marco Polo, uncredited but brimming with heart. Every comeback was measured, deliberate, and quiet, but together they told a single undeniable truth. Melissa Sue Anderson never left the spotlight. She simply chose when and exactly how the world would see her again. Melissa Sue Anderson didn't need the glare of Hollywood lights to make an unforgettable impact. Her presence spoke volumes in silence. She chased only what inspired her, never the applause or credit. After years away from the spotlight, she quietly re-emerged in 2010 with the short film Marker 187, proving that even time spent off-screen couldn't dull her love for storytelling. For fans who weren't paying close attention, her 2014 cameo in Veronica Mars as Stasha's mother was almost a whisper, a gentle nod to those who remembered her. Her final screen moment came in 2018 with The Con Is On, a blink and you'll miss it appearance as guest number 2, subtle, fleeting, and strangely poetic. Melissa's later career was less about fame and more about intention. Each return, no matter how small, reflected her deliberate choices and her refusal to let Hollywood define her worth. She built a legacy measured not by headlines or awards, but by love, family, and unwavering values. In 1990, amid the chaos of show business, she found something lasting, a deep connection with television writer and producer Michael Sloan. What started as a creative partnership quickly blossomed into enduring love. Their marriage never sought the spotlight or tabloid drama. It thrived quietly, rooted in trust, respect, and a shared passion for storytelling.
Together, they created a stable, nurturing home, raising Piper and Griffin, 2 children who became the heartbeat of their world. In the end, Melissa Sue Anderson's story isn't one of Hollywood glitz. It's the story of a woman who knew exactly what mattered most and lived it fully. Some choices define a life, and for Melissa, one of the boldest came early, putting family above fame. She refused to let her children endure the same relentless spotlight she once did. Instead, she stepped into a quieter world, one brimming with ordinary routines, real privacy, and intimate moments Hollywood could never offer. This decision revealed a side of Melissa few had ever seen. Behind the public persona, a devoted mother emerged, fiercely determined to give her kids the stability she had longed for as a child in the spotlight. In 2002, that determination sparked a major life shift. The family relocated from the US to Montreal, Canada. But this move was about far more than changing scenery. It was a declaration of a new lifestyle centered on creativity, balance, and serenity. Canada quickly became everything they had hoped for, a place rich in culture, comfort, and fresh perspective. The family's bond reached a milestone on Canada Day 2007, when Melissa, Michael, and their children proudly became Canadian citizens. More than a passport, the day symbolized a life they had intentionally crafted together, grounded, joyful, and far removed from Hollywood's relentless pace. Life, however, would bring its share of heartbreak. Melissa's longtime husband, writer and producer Michael Sloan, eventually moved to New York City. Yet distance never weakened the family's bond. Then came the unthinkable. On August 13th, 2025, Michael Sloan passed away, ending a marriage that had spanned decades and shaped so much of Melissa's world. His death marked not only the loss of a loving husband and father, but also the silence of a brilliant creative mind whose storytelling left an indelible mark on television. Through it all, Melissa's journey remained intertwined with legends, none more influential than Little House on the Prairie's Michael Landon. His mentorship and presence were profound, complex, and unforgettable, shaping not only her career, but the woman she became. To viewers around the globe, Landon seemed like the flawless father figure, Charles Ingalls, the heart and soul of Little House on the Prairie. But beneath those radiant smiles and idyllic small-town scenes, the truth was far more layered. In recent years, Melissa has opened up with unexpected candor, sharing the realities of life under Michael Landon's demanding presence. Now, at 63, she is far from the shy, reserved child star everyone remembers. Reflecting with newfound clarity, she reveals that growing up on set was full of challenges, especially with a figure as commanding as Landon. He had an almost magnetic charisma, she says. The moment he entered a room, he owned it, and in front of the cameras, he was simply unforgettable. Landon's brilliance is impossible to ignore. He transformed Little House on the Prairie into a television landmark that continues to captivate audiences today. And Melissa's honest insights into what happened off-camera add a richer, more human layer to her story. A tale of a young girl growing up in the spotlight, finding her voice, and learning to navigate a world that could be harsh and unpredictable. Melissa Sue Anderson's life isn't only about stardom, it's about grit, resilience, and the quiet bravery of standing strong through it all.